gets that.
Well, hey, how's it going? Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you're having a great week so far. We're going to dive right into all this. There's so much going on. There's just so much going on here. Really excited. I'm actually just going to share a couple of those things with you just so you have what you need. Let's put up the website real quick. If you are available and around, you just go to the website, jazzwealth.com, select events right here under services. Or if you like, pretend if you're not a customer of ours, go to the Client Center. You can check that out as well. Either way, you're going to see the events that are posted tomorrow. Big deal for us. Tomorrow night, we're going to be announcing 2 new portfolios, because what a lot of people don't realize is we actually have quite a handful of portfolios. We just can't put them all out there at once. And so what we're doing is going through one by one, making sure everything is covered from a regulatory standpoint so that we can offer more and more funds to our customers so you guys have more choices. We are actually going to be getting into the target date fund as sort of mess as well, because I've about had it with these target date companies and how they're messing with you guys. So we're actually going to make our own, but more important, well, we have our own, but more importantly, we want to be able to share with you what to expect. If you invest in this target date fund, if you invest in some of the new funds that we are going to make public, then what can you expect? Should you expect to outperform the market? And prove it. Show me some history. So we're going to be doing that for our customers. Tomorrow night, we'll be announcing that. And then on Friday, I hope you guys are able to check it out. Our normal posting time for our YouTube video, the daily video, is about 1 o'clock Eastern time. Well, I'm going to go live instead at 1 o'clock, and I'm actually show you the portfolios on our website, the performance. Finally, we got it approved. It's approved. We can share the performance, keep it updated with you, and we won't get in any trouble. Something that no other advisor is going to show you. They're going to show you what theoretically might happen, but nobody goes back and shows you what happened and what's currently happening with these portfolios. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're not going to get in any trouble, I hope. We seem to have our bases covered. So we will be doing that. But the point is, please check out those events if you're interested. At the bottom of the page, you could hit subscribe to the calendar. There's no name or anything required. It just links it up to your calendar or whatever calendar you use. So keep you updated on the different events that are available. Also, Monday is Mama Jazz. Mama Jazz here is going to start sending out basic tips, just some ideas to keep you focused on your money. Nothing crazy, just really simple ideas. We want you guys always thinking about your money in the short term. We got you covered on the long term, so we're just trying to help you out there. Friday, that covers the Thursday thing. That covers Friday. I think we're really good. Here's the thing. Today's video, there was a question I asked in that video, and I did not get the appropriate answer yet. It says, first person to get this right, I will send them something. And I haven't got the right answer yet. So close, right? If I have to pick one of them, I think one is pretty close. But see if you can answer that question for me. That's not what you're here for, though. You're here because you want to see what the markets did today, and we're going to share that with you. Let's take a look first here. This is the S&P. We've been waiting for this to break above the highs, and if you'll look at a time period, can I show you? Let me see if I can pop this up. Yeah, look, you can actually see. Now, I'm going to take a second and explain this one, because this one's sort of interesting here. And if you're posting a question live, I'm going to answer all the questions at the end just because there's a little delay. It kind of sucks, but we'll get to that. This chart, okay, so what you're looking at, if you're brand new to us, every blip on this chart is 5 minutes, okay? So can I raise this up? Let me see if I can help you out here. Nah, I can't raise it high enough. So right here is 9 o'clock New York time. This is the start of the day, right? I want you to notice something, because you see that red line going straight across here, this guy? That's from the daily chart. Remember, we looked over here and we said, look, as soon as it goes above that, then we should see some excitement. That should convince people that it's okay to buy. So that line right there, if we go look at each 5 minute period, see it right there? Well, today, when we broke above that, look at what happened. As soon as it started going above it, the volume, meaning the number of people that started to buy, kicked in. All of a sudden, it got really exciting. That very moment, that just goes to show that we're all looking at the same thing. If you're a short-term trader, you can do this. It's not hard to sort of play with the markets as long as you understand what everybody's looking at. And so how awesome is that? The very second it broke above there, we saw strength, and that continued through the rest of the day. The S&P was actually higher by 25 on the day. The Dow, by the way, did the exact same thing. The Dow was higher by 182 to finish up the day. It also broke above that technical level. So really, really cool. to kind of spot that. Now, with that, today we sort of had the trifecta of good stuff going on. We had tech stocks and financial. We always say you need the banks, you need the tech stocks if the market's going to go higher. Banks were higher by 1.5% today. Tech stocks were up by 1.42% today, looking good. And then if we go over to energy, that's that third piece to the puzzle. If you can get it, you've got a nice day on your hands or a solid strength day. And check it out. We got oil up here almost to 71.50 a barrel, breaking out, or not breaking out, but moving to new highs there. So oil was a big supporter. And because of that, in the Dow, you had ExxonMobil was your leader for the energy sector there, helped support the Dow on the day. Where was Chevron? Chevron did okay too. I mean, it did come off of its highs by the end of the day, but almost a 2% gain there for Chevron. Marathon Oil in the S&P. You know what I mean by that when I say that in the S&P? So Marathon Oil was higher by 4%. That's an S&P 500 company. So it's not a super duper heavy weighting in the S&P 500. But when you see something like that, you go, great. Well, that's part of the reason the S&P was able to hang in there today, because one of their stocks did really, really well. Just an example. It's probably a poor example, but you get what I'm saying. Now, in the short term, energy, really, it's starting to get going there. If it gets too far too fast, we wouldn't panic if it decided to pull back a little bit. We've already shown you kind of the trend that everybody's following here, at least in the short term. Something else I want to point out, your 10-year note. Remember just last week, was it last week? 2 weeks ago, we said the 10-year note broke above 3% for the first time. And so as the yields go higher, prices go lower, and you're seeing it go lower. We have a rule here. If it goes under the logo, we're in trouble, right? It's not something we invest in. So it broke above 3% for the first time. That was a big deal, because if we go back to the market, that's when we saw some weakness moving back into that trend. What happened today? It goes back above 3%. The 10-year note goes back above 3%. The markets could care less. Why? Because we had banks, we had tech, and we had energy pushing the S&P 500 higher. Awesome, right? Really, really cool to watch that happen. And if you're interested in the short-term bonds, you might check out the 2-year note as well. That traded almost perfectly to a 10-year high. Very cool if you like to follow that stuff. Let's go on. Walmart broke down to new lows, and here's a great example, right? Technical traders like to look at support. And so if you're a short-term guy, you go, hey, all right, here we go. We got a lot of equal lows here. Now, in its very basic sense, all it's telling you is, hey, every time the stock comes down to this level, somebody thinks it's a good purchase. Well, today, that's it. It broke underneath it. What that means is everybody that bought in the last 2 months immediately has a losing position. There is nobody, you could actually, look how far back you could go, all the way over here. Anyone who bought the stock between, yesterday and October of last year has a loss of at least 2% on their position. So what does that tell you? That's why you get that sort of aggressive move lower here that doesn't bounce back. It seems to just get stuck. Anyways, short story there. I don't mean to give you a chart lesson, but the short story there was, what did they do? They bought Flipkart. They bought a big 77% of Flipkart for $16 billion. They made 2 dudes billionaires overnight, just like that. How cool is that? So Flipkart's based in India. I believe it's the largest e-commerce site in India, and Walmart wants to be a part of that. So they said, hey, we got to pay up. We're going to have to buy a piece of this company. They bought a big piece of the company. And you know what? Amazon didn't care at all. Amazon was up 1% on the day, so it's not like this deal hurts them, or at least in the short term. People don't think it's really going to hurt them. So that is that. And lastly, I'll leave you with 2 interesting stories that have really nothing to do with the stock market at the moment. The first is that the government is experimenting with drone deliveries and farming with their partners Alphabet and Intel. They're trying these sort of pilot projects in San Diego, Raleigh, North Carolina, Topeka, Kansas, Reno, Nevada, and Fairbanks, Alaska. So if you live in one of those, you might see drones flying overhead. And these aren't tiny drones either. These are monsters. So they're going to start doing that. Government wants to be part of that as well. And the last story is, to me, an absolute joke. I feel so badly for some of you. You might disagree with me, but 5-0. So the California Energy Commission voted 5-0. 5 dudes and maybe a woman made this happen. They voted that any new house built in California from now on has to have solar power or solar panels on it. It's going to require that all homes and apartments built after, 2020, after 2020, will have to have solar panels on the buildings. How ridiculous is that? It's so ridiculous. So good luck. I mean, you're trying to afford stuff in California now. Can you imagine how much a house is going to cost? At least $10,000 more for a house or to build one of these apartments, because it's just a joke. I can't believe it. You guys make fun of us here in Florida, but God, good luck, California. So I would love to visit, would never, ever, ever live there and pay those taxes and pay all those ridiculous things. Isn't there some sort of thing now where if you put a straw, it has to be a paper straw or something like that? Also ridiculous. Anyways, that's not my job, is to tell you what's ridiculous or not. My job is to cover the markets, and we did that. We covered the entire markets. I'll take a second and answer any questions if you have any. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. Henry's excited. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm very, very, very excited about the portfolios, putting them out there. I look forward to it. You tried to find the answer in Google, but it didn't give it to you. I don't actually see the question. Maybe I'm missing a question. Enrique, thank you, sir. Mass Effect says, how do you get in trouble for being transparent? Brother. For 2 years now, I've said, why can't I just post whether our portfolios do good or bad? Like, I don't care. If the markets go down and we do bad, I just want to share that with people. What's so hard about that? And the answer was, no, God, no, you never do that. Too much room for error. And so my argument was, well, what if I include everything? Like, I get it. If you join me on the 15th of the month and you invest in the portfolio, well, of course, your performance is not the same. So what if we just spell that out for people? And I get the answer, no, God, no, you don't want to do that. I asked every single state. Every state has a regulator. I asked every one of them, what do I need to do? And got the answer from every one of them. Every single state's different. We got our compliance team working on it, and then they finished. They completed it. So now we can actually do this legally. I'm so excited about that. But you'd be surprised how many times I've had to give the answer when someone says, what's your average returns? And I'm not allowed to say, right? I have to say, well, you know, the industry projects 7%, blah, blah, blah. I hate that, right? That has nothing to do with it, because so many people go, you can't beat the S&P. You just can't beat the S&P. I'm sorry, no matter how good you are. That just shows someone that doesn't understand the markets, because you 100% can beat the S&P. Do you want to? Maybe not, but at least I want to be able to show that that is possible. Or if you want to move at a certain speed, if you only want to get 0.5% of whatever the markets do, I want to show how we do that. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. I'm going to wrap it up. Dritris, I don't know how to say that name. What is your predictions for the remaining year? Oh, as far as for the stock market, what's the predictions for the remaining year? In my opinion, from here through the summer, I don't really expect a lot. I just don't see much happening. It's typical summertime performance, and the market is not really in a position to sort of fall apart or trade higher. With that being said, unfortunately, news drags us one way or the other. So, you know, your real question is, can you predict any bombshell news by the end of the year? No, I can't. I have no idea what's going to happen. I do think earnings will continue to do well. They're slowly tapering off, so that will affect us over time. But I think earnings is going to continue to do well, just at a slower pace. So that should help the overall markets. We'll see what happens. One thing you never understood is why Dave Ramsey always assumes 12% return in a growth stock mutual fund. So that's one of the videos we're putting together. You know how, I just started really watching him. I don't really know much about him, but he recommends the same 4 mutual funds, will not give specific advice on it. Not a problem. He just, you know, it's not his business. But one of the videos we're doing, working on it, is of those 4 funds, what's that going to cost you? Let's look at the average. Let's look at how many choices there are. Then let's look at the returns. If you were to pick all 4 of those together, not to bash the guy, I just want to say, look, if you're going to go this route, realistically, this is what history gave you. So if that number comes out to be higher or lower, we'll see. But I don't know where the 12% comes from either. I've heard in my little, I've probably watched maybe an hour total from different posts that he has. But, you know, it's like I've seen numbers from 12 to 15 that he keeps saying. So I don't know. We'll see. I like digging through it. I get a question on that a lot. So we'll work it out. We'll see what happens. Have I seen Jeremy of Financial Education? What is that? Is that a company? I have not seen or talked to anybody named Jeremy with Financial Education. Great name though, if that's what he chose, because is that a website? I'll check it out. All right. Kevin's picking on us there. All right, I see Kevin wants us to get back because I believe Kevin sent me an email. So he's like, hey, man, quit chatting. Go answer my email. All right, I'm going to do that. We have covered it all. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, if you want to be a part of that. We'll send you the link to the class tomorrow, then for our customers, and then Friday we'll be live on YouTube at 1 o'clock. That's all I have for you. I appreciate it. No other earnings to report that are any exciting. So Roku's up 3% after earnings, if that helps you. I'm going to wrap it up. Talk to you guys later. See ya.